We like to believe that home is the safest place we can be. But sometimes it's within those familiar walls, the strange noises, unseen eyes, and that creeping sense of being watched, that real panic begins. In today's video, you'll hear 4 completely true stories, chilling experiences that took place inside homes that seemed perfectly peaceful. From mysterious cries echoing up from the basement, to an intruder hiding in the darkness of night, each story will make you question the place where you lay your head to sleep. Story 1. The Cry from the Basement. Back in college, I used to make extra money by house-sitting for a wealthy family whenever they went on vacation. The house was pretty old, but it had just been renovated, looked safe, quiet, and well-kept. They had 4 cats, friendly, clean, and affectionate. I'd had a few odd moments in that house before, but what happened this time is the reason I never went back. The family was going abroad for 2 weeks and wouldn't have cell service. If anything happened, I could only call the police or one of their relatives. At the time, I was studying animal care, so watching the cats was no big deal. The first few days were easy. I slept in the guest room, went to class from there since campus was close. It saved time and money. On Wednesday night, my boyfriend came over and brought dinner. It was getting late when he stood up to leave, then suddenly paused. He said he had a weird feeling. He didn't know why, but something told him he shouldn't stay the night. I laughed it off, told him the alarm system worked. The neighborhood was safe, and the cats were like 4 tiny bodyguards always wandering around. After hesitating, he finally left. I locked the doors shut, all the windows turned on the alarm, and got into bed. That's when the living room TV turned on by itself. At first, I thought I might have accidentally sat on the remote, but it was still lying untouched on the table. I turned the TV off. A few seconds later, it turned on again. But this time there was no image, just black and white static, and a low whispering noise like someone murmuring under their breath. I yanked the plug from the wall. Maybe the new renovations had messed with the wiring, I told myself. Still, I felt uneasy. I decided to sleep on the couch in the living room instead. The next morning, I told my boyfriend. He just said, "You should have come home with me last night." But I stayed. I needed the money. That night after dinner, we sat on the couch watching a movie. That's when we heard it. A child crying. Very softly, coming from the basement. I froze. I'd worked at an animal rescue before. Sometimes cats make noises that sound like babies. I did a quick count, only 3 cats in the room. The youngest, the playful one, was missing. I went down to the basement. The crying grew louder with each creaking step down the old wooden staircase. When I reached the bottom, I saw the side room's door slightly ajar. I pushed it open and the missing kitten bolted out, clearly terrified. I picked her up and turned to leave. But then I noticed something unusual. A black and white photo had fallen from a crack in the wall. The picture showed a child, standing in the exact spot where I was now standing. Its eyes were dull and lifeless, and it looked like it was staring right at me. I didn't say a word, just carried the kitten upstairs and tried to finish the movie like nothing had happened. But it wasn't over. Around 10 p.m., as we were setting dinner out in the kitchen, the crying returned. But this time it wasn't faint. It was loud, long, and angry. I went down to the basement again, calling for the cats. But this time they were all upstairs. My boyfriend swore he'd just seen all 4 of them come out of the bedroom. There was nothing in the basement. No cats, no people. I ran back upstairs, chilled to the bone. My boyfriend looked at me pale and said quietly, "I saw all 4 cats walk out of the bedroom as soon as you went down there." That night we left the house. I only returned during daylight hours to feed the cats and clean. I never stayed overnight again. When the family returned, I thanked them politely, then declined all future house-sitting offers. And ever since then, whenever I think about that crying, I remember the photo that fell out of the wall, and I wonder if it wasn't the cats making that sound. Then who was that child? Story 2. The man on the line. When I was a college senior, I picked up a house-sitting job for a friend of my mom's to make some extra cash. The house was tucked away in a quiet suburb with a big backyard, a swimming pool, and a glass sunroom that looked out over the whole yard, the perfect place to relax. Or at least that's what I used to think. That night, I invited my two close friends Haley and Sammy to stay over. They were a few years older than me and brought along some vodka and snacks, turning what should have been a quiet night of dog-sitting into a cozy little hangout. We talked, laughed, smoked a bit, and enjoyed the crisp early spring air. The dog Willis was calm and cuddly, sticking close like he too sensed the night was something special. Around midnight, the house phone rang. What made that strange was that the landline had supposedly been disconnected. At first, we ignored the calls, assuming maybe the old wiring was glitching out. But the ringing didn't stop. Eventually, Sammy picked it up. A man was on the other end, his voice flat cold. He said he had the homeowner's wallet. He claimed he was at a gas station 25 minutes away, and we needed to come pick it up right now. That made no sense. The homeowner was vacationing in another state. Sammy politely declined and hung up. We sat there afterward, uneasy, like the air inside the house had shifted. Like someone was watching. Like the house wasn't ours anymore. We locked every door, closed all the curtains, and huddled into the back bedroom with Willis, debating whether to call the police. But after a while, we convinced ourselves it was just some creep playing a prank. Around 3 a.m., we moved back to the living room to watch something. That's when Haley whispered, "Do you feel like someone's watching us?" I didn't get the chance to answer. She suddenly froze, eyes wide, staring past me toward the kitchen. Under the dim kitchen light was a figure. A man dressed in all-black, hood pulled tight over his face, rifling through the cabinets. I couldn't breathe. He turned his head toward us, his pale blue eyes reflecting the orange glow from the kitchen lamp. There was no expression, no panic, just cold focus. Time stopped. Sammy somehow managed to shout, "Get the hell out of here," but the man didn't run. He calmly closed the cabinet door, turned, and walked out through the back door, the one we'd forgotten to lock. We collapsed into a corner of the house, trembling as we called 911. Within minutes, police arrived and searched the entire place. They found nothing. We left in the middle of the night, left behind our bags, our car, even Willis. We just needed to be gone. The next morning when we came back, the house was a mess. Drawers open, clothes scattered, crumbs around the doggy door. But the strangest part, Willis never barked. To this day, we don't know who that man was. Was he the one who called? Had he already been inside the house earlier, or was he just waiting? For that one moment when the door wasn't locked, I never went back to that house again. Story 3. The Shadow in the Bedroom. I'm a veterinary assistant, and I've loved animals for as long as I can remember. Aside from my main job, I also pet sit on weekends to earn extra money. My services were listed on several local forums, so it wasn't unusual to get messages from strangers. One day, I got a message from a man named Jeremy. He sounded around 50, had a deep voice, and came across as soft-spoken. He needed someone to watch two pets, a macaw parrot named Ringo and a cat named Casper. The pay was generous, $300 for one weekend. I agreed right away. Jeremy's house was tucked on a quiet corner of a suburban street. He showed me everything: the food, the pet routines, and how to calm Ringo down when he started screaming with his favorite snacks. When I asked about the other rooms, Jeremy just smiled and said, "Don't go into any room except the living room and the guest bedroom. Everything else, pretend it doesn't exist." That night, I was alone in the house. Ringo kept repeating the phrase "Daddy's home" in this raspy, almost mocking voice. At first, I thought it was funny, but the longer I listened, the more it started to creep me out. I went to bed early, leaving the door slightly cracked. Around 3 a.m., I jolted awake to the sound of a soft clack-clack, like something bumping against something else. I sat up and listened. Silence. I figured it was Ringo moving around in his cage downstairs. I rolled over and went back to sleep. The next morning, everything seemed normal. I fed the cat, cleaned Ringo's cage, and let him out for a few hours. That night, I went to bed early again. This time, I clearly heard the bedroom door close. I sat up. It was shut, tightly. There was no fan, no wind. I always left it open. My heart started racing. I told myself I was overthinking. Then I heard footsteps. Soft, deliberate. In the hallway. I grabbed my phone and went downstairs to check. Ringo was awake, eyes wide, staring, muttering, "Daddy's home. Daddy's home." Over and over again like a broken loop. I tossed him a snack to shut him up and went back upstairs. The bedroom door was still closed. I tried to calm myself and go back to sleep. About an hour later, I opened my eyes, and I saw a shadow, tall, thin, moving slowly across the room. It slipped through my door and vanished into the hallway. No sound, no footsteps, no door creaking. I couldn't move. I just lay there paralyzed. When I could finally breathe again, I turned the lights on and searched every room. Nothing. But then, I got a message from Jeremy. The timestamp matched the exact moment I woke up. "If Ringo talks nonsense late at night, just ignore him. He does that sometimes." I froze. I never told him what happened. How did he know? I quickly packed my things. But as I passed the hallway, I heard something, a soft, rhythmic creaking. Like a bed moving back and forth. I stopped in front of the room Jeremy had told me not to enter. I leaned my ear to the door. The creaking grew louder. I whispered, "Jeremy, are you in there?" Silence. I knocked gently. "I'm leaving now. If you're here, I need to know." Still nothing. I left the keys on the counter and walked out of the house. Then I texted Jeremy I won't be coming back. "If you were in the house, I hope you were being honest." He replied, "Sorry, that was my brother." I didn't believe him. And the next morning I noticed something missing. A personal item from my bag. My sleep shirt. I was certain I packed it, but it was gone. I've never written this story down. Until now. Story 4. The Knock in the Night. I was 17 at the time, living in the suburbs and getting ready to start college. When a friend of my mom's asked if I could house sit for the weekend and watch her dog Willis, I saw it as a chance to earn a little cash and maybe enjoy a peaceful mini staycation. But I was wrong. Very wrong. On the first night, I invited 2 of my closest friends, Haley and Sammy, to stay over and keep me company. We brought a few bottles of wine, snacks, and a totally relaxed mindset. 3 girls, 1 sweet dog, and a house with a gorgeous sunroom. What could go wrong? Around midnight, the house phone started ringing, which was strange, because the owner had told me the landline had been disconnected. We looked at each other confused. Sammy answered. A man was on the other end. His voice was raspy and slow. He said he had the homeowner's wallet and that we needed to drive to a gas station 25 minutes away to get it. Even though he tried to sound polite, there was something deeply unsettling about him. All 3 of us felt it. Sammy smartly declined and hung up. No one was laughing anymore. I closed the sunroom door, pulled the curtains, locked every door, and curled up next to Willis on the couch. But the back door, the one that led outside from the sunroom, didn't have an indoor latch. We had to leave it cracked slightly so Willis could go out if he needed to. Time crept past 3 a.m. I was giggling with Haley over a dumb comedy scene when the air in the room suddenly shifted. A strange silence blanketed everything. Then I turned toward the kitchen, and I saw a man. Tall, dressed in black from head to toe, hoodie gloves, even a ski mask covering half his face. He was rifling through the kitchen cabinets. I froze. It wasn't until Haley turned and screamed that I snapped out of it. The man stopped, turned to face us, and I saw his eyes pale blue glowing in the dim kitchen light. I'll never forget those eyes. Sammy shouted, "Get out, brave as hell." But the man didn't run. He didn't panic. He calmly stepped backward into the sunroom and slipped out through the back door. We huddled in the corner of the living room, trembling as we called 911. Police arrived within 3 minutes. They searched the entire house, no sign of anyone. We left that night, left behind the wine, the phones, even my car, and only took Willis, our four-legged friend. The next morning we came back, and that's when we noticed something strange. A few clothes from the bedroom had been disturbed, crumbs scattered near the back door. But the most chilling part, Willis never barked. Not once. We thought having a dog made us safe, but now I realize he knew the intruder. No one ever called us back. No one ever admitted to that phone call. I never returned to that house, and I've never slept alone in a stranger's home since that night. Thank you for being brave enough to watch until the end. If you've ever experienced something strange, chilling, or unexplainable in your own home, share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next terrifying tale. Tonight, before you turn off the lights, make sure your doors are locked. Be wary of even the faintest sound, because something might be closer than you think.